less flavor or better flavor than Manischewitz. The confirmation class is selling wine in the foyer. So the Manischewitz and grape juice comes with the meal, but if you want to upgrade your options, feel free to go to the lobby. up? Should we stand up for the first one? No, so they can see us. Do you have your mic? I do. Wait. It should be on already. Is it on already? Hopefully. Oi, Sarah.
Miriam-la. Miriam-la-la-la-la.
Such a long journey we have tonight. Can you believe that Moses said,
I never could believe anything Moses said.
that we have to get packing and head on out tonight?
You know, I didn't have time to pack. I grabbed a scarf and I put on my boots. Because I figured when Moses says, let's go, we're probably going to be doing some hiking.
Yeah, but he also said we're going through the desert, and sand goes through sandals.
Okay.
Hence the name sandals. Better than hiking boots, which are very uncomfortable when the sand gets in
We'll
there.
find out. We'll find out.
Oy. But did you see this map
We're
that he
sitting
gave
now.
us? Look at this
He's
map.
always so organized. Everything's got an order with Moishe.
I think he may be a little OCD. What do you think?
He's a good boy chick, though.
He is a good boy
Very
chick.
good boy chick.
But, you know, he likes to tell us what to do all the time.
He does.
Yeah, a
He
little.
does. And you know what? I have to say, his brother and sister, they're kind of like that, too.
Yeah, but I like the sister. She knows how to dance.
She does know how to dance.
Who does not enjoy a good dance party?
That's very good. Very good.
You know what he said that we have to do, though?
I can imagine. What did he say we have to do?
He said...
Oh, I do know.
You do know?
Yes. He said that we had to make sure that we brought a few of our things, and he said that we should have a lot of joy.
Yeah.
And that we should, raise our voices in song.
He did, but he also said leave the pita behind in Egypt.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of that. You know I like my pita.
You know what?
And in these robes,
We don't
I
have
could
time.
eat a lot of pita.
You know what, though? We don't have time. We just have to go. We have to go.
Okay, well, maybe you could help us remember what we should pack and what we should leave behind.
Okay, so I can do this, but only if people join in. Because I have to say, I have heard myself for 2 years.
Yeah, but at least, you know, I've heard myself for 2 years. I'd rather listen to you.
Well, and that's how I feel about you. Oh my God. No, but I've been hearing myself and watching people with no noise and their mouths moving after mine. So it's a little disconcerting. I'm really looking forward to joining our voices. So please join me. Cleaning and working and so many dishes. Out of the comets, no pasta, no knishes. Fish that's gefilte, horseradish that stings. These are a few of our Passover things. Matzah and karpas and chopped up charoset, shank bones and kiddush and Yiddish neuroses, tanta who kvetches and uncle who sings. These are a few of favorite Passover things. Motzi and maror and trouble with pharaohs, famines and locusts and slaves with wheelbarrows, matzah balls floating and eggshells that cling. These are a few of our Passover things. When the plagues strike, when the lice bite, when we're feeling sad, we simply remember our Passover things, and then we don't feel so bad. We are in sync because I saw everybody doing this. Hi.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Since that's the theme for tonight, everybody, let's just do it together.
Oy.
Okay, I'm
That
ready.
felt really good.
I know, it was good, wasn't it?
It's like a breathing exercise. Now, in the presence of loved ones and friends, before us are the emblems. Does everybody have before you the emblems of where my Freedoms Festival, we gather in sacred celebration. United with the whole household of the people of Israel, we link past with future. Shh. If you're at the head table, you have to shush. We could put you at the kiddie table.
There's no place to hide.
There's always a place to hide.
Yeah. I can't read that.
You know
You
what?
couldn't read it if you were
While
facing
this is
it.
going on, why don't we count how many times there's a shush during the Seder, okay?
Is that our drinking game for tonight?
Yes. We'll do it with 4 cups of wine.
Okay. United with the whole household of the people Israel, we link past with future, generation to generation, and hear again the timeless call to service. Tonight, we tell a story that resounds far and wide, a tale whose shining conclusion is yet to unfold. With joy, we share the songs, the foods, the prayers, and the hopes of Pesach. Together, as it is written, you shall keep the feast of unleavened bread, for on this very day I freed you from the land of Egypt.
And you
Shall observe this day throughout your generations. It is a sacred practice for all time. And I'm going to have this table read in unison the next page. If you guys could all read together. That's why I'm putting it in the middle.
When we break the middle matzah.
Table.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So that should prep the rest of the tables to know we're going to be going around. And when we have a reading like this, your table will need to do it. But since you don't have a microphone, you have to be loud when you're talking. Table 2. Can you be louder than the first table? Go for it. So thank you so much. I'm going to encourage you guys when you read, though, use your most authoritative voice. Speak as though you were Moses on the mountain and you have no loudspeaker and you want to make sure everybody could hear. Or speak in the way as though your child has left a huge mess in the kitchen and they're outside and you want to make sure that they know that they should get inside. You could use that voice as well. We had a whole team that brought tonight's Seder together. It's a huge deal in normal times for the women of B'nai Israel, our sisterhood, to put on the second night Seder. It was even a bigger deal this year as we kept waiting and wondering what the rules would be around COVID. And so I want to invite up the 2 co-chairs that made tonight possible, Sharon Rogoff and Marianne Rabowski, to come join us at the table. So Marianne and Sharon, if you guys come on over here.
Come on down. You're the next contestants on Seder is Us.
I was going to say Seder tonight. You get the pleasure of lighting candles. So you want to give them your mic? You take that. And the words are right up there. Okay, you do that, Sharon. Okay, so light the candle. First light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Yom Tov.
Amen. And thank you to both of you and to the team of volunteers that you guys have been working with to make all of this possible. Thank you both.
Yes.
Oh, no. Have Karen read this one.
Can you read this?
I can read things. Lighting the festival candles, Hadlakata Nerot. It is customary to light 2 candles for the festival, though some maintain the custom of lighting 1 candle for each member of the household. We are reminded of the insight from Rabbi Abraham Isaac Cook, who taught, "Everyone must know that a candle burns within them. No one's candle is identical to anyone else's, and there is no human being without a candle. One must strive to reveal the light of one's own candle publicly in order that the whole world may benefit from it."
So what is our story? What is our theme? We recall tonight that in diverse ways and with different words, God promised freedom to our people. V'hotzeti etchem, v'hitzalti etchem, v'ga'alti etchem, v'lakachti etchem.
I will free you, I will save you, I will redeem you, I will take you.
On Passover, the rabbis determined that the participants in the evening's festival meal should not merely taste wine, but imbibe 4 cups of it. Grape juice works just as well. A quantity they associated with God's 4 promises of redemption in Exodus chapter 6, verses 6 and 7. Together, I will free you from the labors of the Egyptians and save you from their bondage.
I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and through extraordinary chastisements, and I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God.
Not only do we recall God's promises, but we rekindle the joys these promises evoked in our ancestors as we relive the incomparable joy of redemption. And so we fill our glasses with the first cup of wine.
That's a
Oh,
water glass. Not by your computer.
okay, that's good. That's good. And wait. You get the no. You get this one.
Oh, okay, but I still need a cup. Is there juice? Can
you pass
juice?
Thanks.
Okay.
Go for it. With a blessing over the fruit of the vine, we remember each of these as now the first, together, Ani Adonai Eloheinu etchem mitachat sivlot Mitzrayim. I am Adonai, and I will free you from the burdens of Egypt. And so we raise the Kiddush cup to proclaim the holiness of the day of deliverance. Oh,
Not that one.
I'm going.
Keep going. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am v'romemanu mikol asod v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava moadim l'simcha chagim uzmanim l'sason et yom chag hamatzot hazeh zman cherutenu mikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kiddashta mikol ha'amim u'moadei kodshecha b'simcha u'b'sason hinchatanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim. I thought you were getting there. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh. Amen. L'chaim u'l'shalom. Take a look around at each other and know that it is a tremendous blessing that we have made it to this very day.
And this takes us to the next step of the journey, to Rakatsa. In silence, I pour upon my hands water from the cup of life, and as I feel it on my skin, I am refreshed and renewed for a life of purpose. As it flows over my hands, it reminds me to cleanse myself of unworthy pursuits and petty concerns. As this water is pure, so too let the works of my hands be pure. As water has the power to heal and revive, so too may I use my strength to sustain life now and always. And so with the first washing of the hands, I am the sacrificial Jew, and I will wash my hands on behalf of all of you, so you don't have to get up for this one. And so this brings us to the appetizer course of the evening, also known as karpas, the blessing over a green vegetable. Any leafy green vegetable suffices as karpas. This Hebrew word, deriving from the Greek karpos, means fruit of the soil or vegetable. The rabbis commented that the meal of a poor person often consisted of no more than bread and salt. Beginning the meal with karpas and salt therefore signals that the celebrants are not the poorest of the poor, because they are rich in freedom. Together, in the spring of the year, season of a rebirth
and renewal, we turn to the Bible's Shir HaShirim, songs.
And so we each take some of the karpas, the parsley, we dip it in the salt water, but you don't get to eat it until we bless it, because we are grateful for whatever food we may have. Cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'adama. Amen. B'teavon, enjoy your meal. Too salty. Last night it was too salty.
Delicious. The two dippings that take place during the Seder have beautiful symmetry. The sweetness of karpas is erased by the salty water of slavery, but the bitter maror of slavery is erased. Well, it depends on the maror, but the bitter maror of slavery is erased by the sweet charoset of freedom into which it is dipped. Freedom and redemption prevail in the end. And so this brings us to the next step of our journey of Rakatsa, the breaking of the middle matzah. Has anyone ever noticed that the size of these bags do not correspond to the size of the matzahs that we put in?
I've always wondered if there was some rabbinical teaching about that.
Not so much a rabbinical teaching, but
I think it's a mother teaching.
No, no.
This does not make sense.
No, it really does, but it's a financial teaching. I think all matzah bags are put out by the Shmura matzah makers, because Shmura matzah is the only matzah that fits in these bags. And so I think this is all a ploy for us to have nothing but Shmura matzah. Together, we pray together.
Jewish spirituality begins in two places. One is a place of gratitude, and one is a place of protest.
The challenge is to be capacious enough to hold gratitude for life, along with an equally deep sense that the world as it is not how it's supposed to be.
That was a hard one.
That was a hard one. How many people, raise your hand if you hesitated before you said capacious? That was a hard one.
Dictionaries will be passed out after the Seder.
Cantor, we now have phone dictionaries on our phones.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just saying. You're still living in the desert.
You love to do that, don't you?
I really do. Because there's less and less people I can do that. Mm-hmm. Now we break the middle matzah. Oops.
In two, hiding the larger portion as the afikomen. After our Seder meal, we will share this broken piece. As in ancient times, families shared the Pesach offering in Jerusalem.
You know what that reminds me of?
What does that remind you of, Rabbi?
It reminds me of what happens when you're not careful about the afikomen.
You have to be very careful with the afikomen, because otherwise bad things happen. Like this. My dad at every Seder breaks a matzah piece in two and hides the afikomen, half a game for me and you. Find it, hold it, ransom for the Seder isn't through till the afikomen's gone. Don't sit on the afikomen. Don't sit on the afikomen. Don't sit on the afikomen, or the meal will last all night. One year daddy hid it neath the pillow on a chair, but just as I raced over, my Aunt Sophie sat down there. She threw herself upon it, awful crunching filled the air, and crumbs flew all around. This is an ancient song. Don't sit on the afikomen. Don't sit on the afikomen. Don't sit on the afikomen, or the meal will last all night. There were matzah crumbs all over. Oh, it was a messy sight. We swept up all the pieces, though it took us half the night. So if you want your Seder ending sooner than dawn's light, don't sit on the afikomen. Don't sit on the afikomen. Don't sit on the afikomen. Don't sit on the afikomen, or the meal will last all night. Rabbi, I have a question.
Only one question, not four?
Were those the words of Rabbi Tarfun or Rabbi Gamliel?
Neither.
Neither.
It was the words of Rabbi Ben Bagbag,
Ah, I didn't remember that.
who's an actual real rabbi.
I know. And he said,
He said,
don't sit on the afikomen, as it is written.
And so shall it be.
And so, does everybody have matzah? Uncover your matzahs at your table. You don't get to eat them yet, but we get to look longingly at them.
Ooh,
And so we have broken the middle matzah, and I have placed the smaller portion inside the matzah bag.
Sounds like the beginning of a magic trick.
It is.
It is.
And so, are there any people here that are under the age of 18? Anyone who would like to search for the afikomen? Don't start yet. You have to eat dinner first. I'll let you know when you could go. So later on, there will be an afikomen, and there will be prizes for the one who finds it. But you know what? There are so many songs about matzah.
Yes.
Just so many songs, but my favorite is the one that is in Aramaic, because there's nothing like singing in Aramaic.
There's nothing like singing in Aramaic to just bring it home. And I really like this particular melody because, well, you'll find out in just a minute.
And so we still keep the matzah uncovered for right now because we're singing to it. We know the matzah is of such importance that we are singing to it right now.
Oh, I'm nervous. I didn't know that we were going to be singing to the matzah. Here we go. Halachma anya di akalu ahavtana be'ara di Mitzrayim be'ara di Mitzrayim kol tifin yete ve'yakol כל דצריך יתה ויפסח, השתה לשנה הבאה בערדי ישראל. השתה עבדי לשנה הבאה בני חורין. And if you want to learn that melody for next year,
So,
come see me.
I love the way that you sing it, but maybe next year you could do the dance that goes with it?
Well, I was hoping you would.
No. It really has to be the one who's singing it to do the dancing.
It's a great melody, though.
Anyone who is hungry. At its core, the Seder is an act of imagination. The curriculum of the Seder assumes if we enact the rituals of oppression, if we taste the foods associated with slavery, then we will be able to experience bondage as if we were actually in Egypt. Avedim hayinu b'Mitzrayim. We were slaves in Egypt. We, not only they. And if we can imagine ourselves slaves on these nights of Passover as we are commanded to, then we will be able to better understand and experience what it feels like to be unemployed and scared, or homeless and hungry, or elderly and alone. And so this brings us to the core of the story. Do you see the picture?
Oh, God, I remember when he looked like that.
You know, that was when he was only 80.
Yeah.
You know, that was at the beginning of the desert journey. He looked very different after 40 years in the wilderness.
I have to give it to him. Charlton Heston just did not really, truly embody the way Moses came across.
Part of that was because the Hays Code in those days wouldn't allow Charlton Heston to wear what Moses actually wore in the desert.
That would have been all kinds of wrong.
Modest,
All kinds of wrong.
So the Magid is really the main part of the Passover story. In this section, we ask questions. We tell the story from our earliest ancestors to today. And this is an opportunity to also add to the Haggadah, not only the questions that are in our books, but also the questions that may arise because of the world we live in today. And so we begin with the famous four-part question. From the youngest to the eldest we will go. All the generations and genders together, with our flocks and with our herds, we will go. For this festival of the eternal is ours. So it was at first, and so it is today. All have a place at the Seder. All have a part in our people's story. Do you want to read this one?
All the generations and genders together. In Hebrew, literally, with our sons and with our daughters. This phrase is a merism, that's a great word, in which the two parts stand for the whole. From head to toe is a merism that represents the entire body. From this we understand that sons and daughters represents and includes the entire spectrum of gender. On Passover and every day in our continued work for liberation, everyone, anywhere on that spectrum is included and welcome.
Amen. So, do we have any children here today? I need all the kids to come on up. Come on up. Don't be shy. And you guys all get to stand up wherever you can see the screen. You get to choose whether or not you're a child, because Jewishly you're an adult, but according to American law, not quite yet. The four questions. So I need all the kids to come on up. If you've not had a bar bat mitzvah yet and you are under the age of 18, come on up, you guys.
Don't be afraid. I know you have lots of questions to ask, but you can only ask 4 right now.
And Cantor will join with you.
I have to make sure I can see them too.
Here, you want to stand from there?
Okay. Are you guys ready? You're like, I don't know. She told us to stand up
They look
here.
terrified.
Don't be afraid. מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה כולו מצה. הלילה הזה כולו מצה. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות. שאר ירקות. הלילה הזה כולו מרור. הלילה הזה כולו מרור. שבכל הלילות, I don't know how to turn it, אין אנו מטבילין אפילו פעם אחת. אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה שתי פעמים. הלילה הזה שתי פעמים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסובים. בין יושבים ובין מסובים. הלילה הזה כולנו מסובים. הלילה הזה כולנו מסובים. יפה מאוד.
That's not the softest part of my body to use
No,
as
but
a
that's,
pillow.
I had to recline like
Okay.
this.
So for all of the, let's give everybody a big round of applause for all of
Yay.
the kids who did this. But don't go away yet, because you each get a sticker and a treat. So come around the table on this side.
Now we have a little regret. We have a little regret from the gallery.
So those 4 questions are just a taste to get us started. So let's take a minute or two to answer one of the 3 questions that you see on the screen. Your table could decide which one of these questions do you want to, actually, you know what, let's just do the first question. Haven't we taken this trip before, just last year? Why go again? Is it possible to see different things upon arriving this time? So take a moment to introduce yourselves to the people you're sitting with and take a little time to discuss the question. So it sounds like wonderful conversation has happened. And we continue now with the story of the 4 children. Can anybody figure out which child is which? Four times the Torah tells us, teach your children about the Exodus from Egypt. 4 times we are reminded, and you shall tell your child on that day. From this, the sages infer that there are 4 kinds of people. And so at our Seder, we speak of sons and daughters who are wise, and those who reject our rituals and traditions, sons and daughters who are simple, and those who do not know how to ask. And we are taught, respond to them in different ways, according to their questions, their situations, and their needs. Do you want to try giving that table the mic and let's see what happens?
Let's see what happens. We're doing an experiment. Yeah.
No, the
Oh,
people
yeah.
have spoken.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Cantor, go to they won't say no to you. Trust me. They're young. They won't say no. They're not afraid of us. I mean, they're still afraid of us.
Yes, it's okay. We don't wait.
And their needs. Not even our Exodus narrative is more important than the human beings who are to internalize its lessons. This is why we ensure that everyone at the Seder table is able to connect to our theme of working for liberation, each in their own way. The Ritba, Rabbi Yom Tov Ishbili of Spain, 14th century, puts this emphasis in divine terms when he teaches, God values the Exodus story so much that we are commanded to tell it to every child according precisely to who they are and their abilities.
Was that scary? No, not scary at all.
Not this time, but next time in Aramaic. And so this brings us to the Ballad of the 4 children.
You know, there's this part of me that wants to have the bouncing ball. Wouldn't that be awesome?
You know, since we don't have a
You're,
bouncing
now,
ball.
now it's off.
No, now it's on.
Oh.
Since we don't have a bouncing ball, we could have a bouncing Karen, and she could just jump and point to each word
I wouldn't do that to her.
after the 3rd glass of wine.
Please join me in this old favorite from ancient times. Said the parents to their children, at the Seder you will dine, you will eat your cups of wine. Parents had 4 children, yes, their kids they numbered 4. One was wise and one was wicked, one was simple and a bore. And the 4th was sweet and winsome, was so young and also small. While the other asked the questions, this one could not speak at all. Said the wise one to the parents, would you please explain the laws of the customs of the Seder? Will you please explain the cause? And the parents proudly answered, 'cause our forebears ate in speed, ate the Pesach lamb ere midnight, and from slavery were freed. So we follow their example, and ere midnight we must eat the afikomen and why so tasty, which will be our final treat. Then did sneer the child so wicked, what does all this mean to you? And the parents' voice was bitter as their grief and anger grew. If yourself you don't consider as a child of Yisrael, then for you this has no meaning. You could be a slave as well. And the simple child said simply, what is this? And quietly, the good parents told their offspring we were freed from slavery. But the youngest child was silent and just could not ask at all. But with eyes all bright bright with wonder, listen to the details all. Now, dear children, heed this lesson and remember evermore what the parents told their children, told their kids that numbered 4. Every Seder tells a story that belongs to you and me. You and I were slaves in Egypt, now we're blessed with liberty.
I want to do a little shout out with that illustration for those of you guys who picked up your Passover coasters. The artist for this is a 14-year-old in our religious school. This is Mira Pierre did this interpretation of the 4 children. There are many questions, and now we begin to answer. Our history moves from slavery towards freedom. Our narration begins with degradation and rises to dignity. Our service opens with the rule of evil and advances towards the realm of God's peace and compassion. Oy, such a story, Sarah, such a story.
Could you change your name, Miriamla?
You could call me Miri.
No, I like the Mirila. But I
how
like
about
the whole
Mirala?
thing.
You could call me Mirala.
No, we'll talk about this later.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have a story to tell.
We have a very good
We
story.
do have a very good
very
story.
long story.
It's a long story.
Because you know why? My story doesn't begin with me, and your story doesn't begin with you.
No.
It doesn't even begin with our parents.
No, it doesn't. It begins so long ago.
It begins with Abraham and Sarah, with
Yeah.
Abraham and Sarah.
Yeah.
You know,
They were the first,
really.
They were,
I
and
did
they
not
didn't
know
even
that.
start off as Abraham and Sarah.
No.
But we don't need to talk about that right now.
But you're right. They were just Avram and Sarai.
Yes.
But-
and little did they know.
Isaac used to like to tell his twins, he would say, Arami Oved Avi. My father was a wandering Aramean. And so the
I
story...
remember when he said that.
You remember that?
I do.
You were so young then.
I know, but it was good.
It was like
made a lot of
yesterday.
sense, and I
was
felt
good.
the connection.
I do too. It's because our story begins with our ancient ancestors, with Abraham and Sarah, who themselves were wanderers, who traveled to a new land, and you know where they went?
Yes, I do, but why don't you tell us?
West. They went, west. That's west, because if that's east, that's got to be west.
That's got to be West.
They went west because
you know
all
what?
the best things happen in the west.
They didn't have covered wagons though.
Oy, but God, that would have been so much more comfortable than
So
camels.
much better than the camels.
If you've ever rode a camel, they are not
It's
nice.
rough.
They spit. Did
Yeah,
you know that?
they do, they
A
do.
lot, and they have disgusting teeth. They don't floss,
They
ever.
kind of smell bad too. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Yeah, I kind of got stuck there for a while.
I know. I'm sorry.
And so our ancestors, Abraham, Sarah, traveled from the east to a land they did not know, to a land that God promised them, to a place where redemption would come. But you know what God said to Abraham in that first blessing? It sounded so good, but if you keep reading, you know what it says?
Oh, I'm afraid.
Your descendants are going to be slaves in another land for 400 years. They're going to suffer.
400 years.
Do you know how long 400 years is?
It's really long if you're in year, say, 112.
Oh, it was a long time. And you know what made it worse? Everyone
what could possibly
lived
worse?
forever in those days.
You were 197 and you were still a slave. That's true.
That would be rough. That would be really rough.
Yeah.
So right up front, Abraham knew that his descendants were going to be slaves.
Yeah, but I don't think he thought of it. I don't think he really carried that with him.
You know, he didn't have the best relationships with his sons.
No, he did not.
So maybe God told them when, Ishmael was like, say, 14?
He might have.
And that wouldn't have sounded so bad.
No, it was like, whatever.
No one else has
You know
teenagers
what? I'm
in their
gonna
house.
send this-
I don't think anyone else has teenagers.
I'm going to send this one into the desert anyway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what he did.
and he did.
He did. He thought this
did.
is a way to
You know,
learn
Abraham was a
lesson.
really nice guy, but sometimes not the backbone you'd like.
I have to say, the parenting in Genesis, it leaves a little something
Little
to be
scary.
desired.
Yeah,
it's not
kids.
the best.
Turn to your parents and thank them.
You really should.
Because I'm pretty sure none of them has taken any child up the mountain. I'm not going to say anymore. We're supposed to be celebrating
Yes,
tonight.
this is true. But then it happened. It happened with Jacob's children when they sold. You remember that when they sold Joseph?
Sometimes brothers and sisters are just.
Say it. You know what you want to say. Say it.
They're just not nice to each other.
No, but you know what? They could have killed him.
You know what? Let's be grateful. They could have killed him, but
coulda
instead
killed
they
him.
sold him into slavery.
Because as Judah pointed
Let's
out.
call that a gift.
Because as Judah
You
pointed
know
out
what?
to his brothers, he said, "Where's the profit in killing him?"
Where's the profit?
This
You know
is
what?
in the Bible. You could look it up. It's
I've
not
never
good.
thought of you as such an optimist, but that is truly
You know
looking
what?
on the sunny side when you
As
can say
the
they didn't kill
youngest
him,
child of
they sold him
four,
into slavery.
As the youngest child of 4 with 2 older brothers,
You'd be happy to be
I
sold
was
into.
happy
yes,
that
they
that-
didn't kill
that was
you.
not an option,
That's
yes.
right. That's right.
and
yeah.
so they sell Joseph
They
into
did.
slavery, into Egypt.
yeah.
And you know what? First,
You know what?
life
Let's
goes.
just take a moment.
Okay.
Let's just digest that. Just think about that. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, but it was a really nice
That's
house.
not your usual basic
But
move.
you know what? He was a slave on a Nile front piece of property.
The view
sunsets
was
were
lovely
amazing.
until he was thrown in the dungeon. Not such a lovely
No, but
view.
you know what? But then he got called up.
He did get called
And
up.
Pharaoh said, "Okay, Mr. Hatsy Tatsy, I hear you are pretty good at
Interpreting dreams. Yeah.
give me your best shot."
Yeah. I love the dream with the 4 skinny cow.
12.
The 4. I'm stuck on 4s that ate the fat cows and did not get fat.
That always kind of creeped me out. It gave me bad dreams, you know.
I think. Well, I don't think it was a good dream.
No, it's not a good dream.
No, it
because
wasn't meant to be.
We live in cow country.
Well, that's true.
It always made me a little nervous. But it
Joseph
turns
was
out
pretty amazing.
Joseph was a really good
He saw right
businessman.
through that dream. That's what I heard.
And he piled up stockpiles of food that got them through the. You know what?
He knew from
Maybe
a
he should
dream
run
or
for
two.
mayor.
Maybe he should run for mayor. Yes. Maybe he should run for mayor. Yes. But I digress. You know, but from a couple of dreams, he predicted 7 years of famine.
You know who else had a dream?
I'm going someplace else.
No. Martin Luther King had a
Okay,
dream.
that's where I was going.
But it was not about cows. Fat
No,
or
it was
skinny.
not.
No, it was a very different
It
type
was a
of dream.
better dream.
Oh, it was a much better
Much better dream. He had a dream.
He had a good dream.
He did have a good
This
dream.
was a creepy dream, but that creepy dream ended up saving the Jewish people because
Yes.
years and years later, when he was looking all Egyptian, he shaved his hair, he had one of those, those little funny beards that
Yeah.
go down. I
Yeah,
hate
that
those
was-
beards.
that
It's a
was-
little too hipstery,
I know
don't you think?
it was and long.
And
Ugh.
he'd like put little rubber bands in
yeah.
it. It was kind of
sometimes
creepy.
they didn't wash it.
So they didn't recognize
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
They
no.
definitely
His
didn't wash
brothers had to come down to Egypt because they were hungry, and Dad said
Because there was a supply chain problem
there was a
in Israel.
serious supply chain problem and no
They were out of
food.
everything.
Go down to Egypt. I hear through the grapevine that I hear.
Oh, I thought you were going to sing.
I heard on social media that down in Egypt, they got some food.
And so then the brothers, they go down and they see Joseph, and Joseph knows right away that those are his brothers.
Right. But
He
they
was-
didn't know.
No, and he
No.
was a little shaken up because that last interaction he had with them did not go well for him.
No, it had not gone well. But now he had a lot of power.
He had a lot
and
of
his
power.
brothers,
Not so much.
they were kind of coming up begging.
They were definitely coming begging, and so
Mm-hmm.
he devised this fabulous plan.
I know. Children, do not listen to this.
It was
Do
a
not
really
do
good
this.
plan.
Do not do this to your sibling. But it
was
still
still
was
a
a
good
good
plan.
plan, but still.
And he planted a goblet in one of their bags. No, but it was a golden goblet.
I was going to say much like this, but in gold.
in gold.
Mhm, probably bigger.
And he wanted to see if his brothers were going to give up his baby brother Benjamin the way they had given it up. And you know what?
Right.
They didn't.
They didn't.
They had actually grown up. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That somebody who's not so nice when they're young could actually grow up and be a decent human being.
It does happen. It does happen. And they actually came back and they begged Joseph not to do this terrible thing to their dad. Dad's been through enough. You know, that's a good kid.
It was a really good kid.
Dad's been through
And
enough.
Joseph responded to Judah's pleas by revealing that he was their brother. You know how he did that?
he said,
in Hebrew, I am Joseph, your brother. And you know what they said?
"Oh my God.
I don't
we
even think
thought
they said,
you
oh
were
my God.
dead."
They were terrified. And then Joseph, you know what he said? Ah! He did. He cried so loud that people outside the palace heard what was going on.
You know,
and he cried and cried and
This
cried.
is when I know that you're Sephardic and I'm Ashkenazi.
Yes. Well, and then he said,
I'm pretty sure he did say that. If it were my family, it would just be like, "Ay, are you kidding?"
and he said, you know what? They were really afraid. They thought that something
were
bad was going to
afraid,
happen
yeah.
to him. But he said, no, no, no.
I forgive you.
I forgive you. Not only that, this was God's will. If you had not been terrible, horrible, no good Nick brothers, well, he didn't really say that, but he was thinking it.
I don't think they had no good Nick. That came later, that word.
Did come later.
Yeah.
I thought that was Aramaic as well. No? Okay. And so he said, if you hadn't done what you did to me by selling me down into slavery, into Egypt, into slavery, then God could not have raised me up to this position where I could help you and our family now. So he said, you know what, everybody come over to Egypt. It's a great place for Dad to retire. It's hot, but it's a dry heat.
I have some property on waterfront.
Waterfront
We have our
property.
own dock. It's beautiful. Dad can relax.
And he moved the whole family down to
Yes, he
Egypt.
did.
Things were fabulous.
In fact, not just the whole family, a whole lot of friends, communities came down, and they prospered. They stayed. They were like, "Why should we go back? This
Exactly.
is a good deal."
But you know what? Did you ever notice that where he told them to live was kind of several hours drive away from the palace?
It was a little bit in their own kind of
It's
neighborhood.
like, I'd like you to be in the same country,
But
but
over
not
there.
the same town.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
there.
And so he moves the family to Egypt, and then he gets really old and he dies, and Pharaoh gets really old and he dies, and then,
There arose a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph.
and he was not a good person.
I've always wanted to do that.
And you have to do that.
Thank you. That was good.
And that Pharaoh was not a nice guy, because here, even though the Jews had been in Egypt for 400 years, you'd think after 400 years people would see you as locals, right?
Yeah, and you know what? And they were helpful, and they helped the economy, and they were prosperous. But you know,
He
he
still-
saw them. He was worried. He saw them as
he
too
was a
prosperous.
little xenophobic.
He was xenophobic, and he was worried that they would change the lay of the land, so to speak.
Yeah. And so he said, get them out of here. And they didn't go. And so then he had a backup plan. And the backup plan was worse kind of than the original plan.
Yeah.
And he said, here, if you're any boys here, close your ears, cover your ears. He said, kill all the boy children.
Shh.
Yeah, I know, I have 2 boys. I don't
It's
like
horrible.
that plan. But there was a mother who said, I'm not gonna give up my boy child.
Yes,
And there
you know
were
what?
these midwives.
I remember it was Yocheved.
It was Yocheved.
She was fabulous. And boy, talk about pita. She baked some wonderful pita.
Not as good as her baklava, though.
Her baklava was amazing. Yeah.
But she was in cahoots
Yes.
with these 2 midwives.
Shifra.
Shifra
and
and Pua. You can't forget Pua.
2 of my favorite names.
Why?
Shifra and
Why
Pua.
are more baby girls not named Pua?
I don't know. How come that hasn't continued
I
through the
don't know.
years?
You think that one would have caught
Any
on?
parents in here? Why didn't you name your daughters
Yeah,
Pua?
anyone pregnant? Pua.
Pua, good
That
name.
will catch. That your child will never be forgotten with a
Never.
name like Pua.
And it will be an easy time through school.
And do you know that is the first recorded case of civil disobedience? Because
Yes.
those midwives said,
Women!
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But
And-
it was women.
and so they refused to kill the baby boys.
They didn't do it. They wouldn't do it.
And Yocheved and her daughter Miriam had this fabulous plan, and they hid their little baby Moses. Though I don't think
His name wasn't
his
Moses.
name wasn't Moses.
No,
it
no,
was
no.
like Tuvia.
That came later.
Yeah, that was later.
Yeah.
And they put him in a little basket, but they wrapped him in Israelite cloth.
Yes.
So that the person who would find them
Knew.
knew. And you know who found them?
I do.
Do you remember her name?
Her name was Batya.
No. Yes, but no. Not at that time.
Oh, God, you scared me. It's like, that was her name. I'm pretty
Well,
sure that was her name.
That was the
Gotcha.
name that God changed it to. Because her name originally was, get this, Bat Paro. And
Yes.
Bat Paro means, does anyone know what Bat Paro means?
Oh, I do.
You do? What does Bat Paro mean?
Daughter of Pharaoh, who the Egyptians thought of as a god. So she was daughter of God, Pharaoh.
Who was the guy who wanted all the baby boys to die?
Right, and Batya is daughter of God.
Because
That
God
we
said she
know and
was
love.
so righteous that she should not be remembered as Pharaoh's daughter,
And
but as
see,
God's
I
Pharaoh.
didn't remember his but Pharaoh. See, it
That's a
worked.
good thing.
It worked.
That's a good thing.
God changed it so it
And
wouldn't
so
be remembered.
she loved Pharaoh. She loved Pharaoh. She loved Moses like it was her own baby,
Yeah.
because that's how you should love your child.
Not
And
a bad life. He got to be raised
Everything.
as a prince.
He got to be raised as
He
prince,
got
and his birth
All kinds of
mother,
great stuff. He got Xbox.
camels.
He got camels.
Do you know he got to eat lamb every night for dinner?
He got lamb. He got a Ferrari when he turned 16.
And his loincloth had golden threads in it.
I'm not so sure that's a good thing, but okay.
you think it might age a little?
I don't want to go there. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. Linen might be better.
Yeah, let's not go there.
And he also knew his mother and his sister, because they were kind of like nannies and
Yes.
helped to raise him.
Yes.
And then when he grew up and he realized that he was an Israelite,
Yeah.
and he saw horrible things happening to the
You
Israelites.
know when that curtain parts and you suddenly see things that you've seen all the time, but now you see them and you can't close the curtain again and you can't unsee it. And he saw what slavery was.
And he
Didn't like it.
kind of, yes, he did not like it, but he kind of responded in a very extreme way,
Very
which was
extreme.
he killed
Well,
the
wouldn't you, if you walked by and you saw somebody, I'm sorry I keep interrupting, but I feel
No,
very
that's okay.
passionate about this. You saw somebody beating a worker, beating I'd get upset too.
Well, I might stop the guy who was doing that.
I probably wouldn't go as far as Moses did.
Killing him might have been a little.
That was a little
And you know
extreme.
what the Israelite did? The Israelite said to Moses, "Oh, now you're a murderer." And Moses had to flee, and he left Egypt,
Yeah.
and he went to Midian, and he found a nice girl,
A
and he
lovely
got
girl,
married,
Zipporah.
and he finally got a job. He was like
He did.
60, and he
did.
finally
He was
got
like
a job.
he was a shepherd. His
And-
father-in-law started him in the business.
exact family business.
Yes, a family business.
And then
Wool.
one day,
sheep.
one of the little teeny tiny little sheep.
Wandered off as they are apt to do.
And do you know what he saw?
I do.
What did he see?
He saw, I'm going to use my voice again, okay?
Do it.
A bush that was burning and not consumed. I like doing that.
I like that
I
too.
like that.
Does
Not
anyone want to guess
consumed.
whose voice he heard from the bush?
God's voice.
I like that he said it in
How
a still
often
small
do you think
voice.
that happens?
Well, it depends on if I'm on my medication or not.
That's right. Yeah. And I don't have sheep that wander off, so I don't have a lot of opportunity.
No, but I had an Avi that used to wander off.
He used
a
to wander off, but
lot.
yeah, you
A
didn't
lot.
really. Yeah, the bushes.
And so the
they weren't
bush,
burning.
or not the bush, but through the bush, because it was kind of like a Bluetooth speaker. And
And I think that's how God presented
yes,
God's
exactly,
self.
as a Bluetooth.
Said this is
Yeah.
like a Bluetooth speaker, so pay attention.
And tells Moses, you have to go back to Egypt.
Right.
And you know what
he'd
Moses
been,
said?
He'd been
You know
with
what
his
Moses said?
he'd been there for like 40 years. Again with the fours. I know.
Force.
Over
But you
and
know what
over.
Moses said when God said, go back,
Said-
go talk to Pharaoh and tell them to let the
He
Israelites
said,
in.
"You know what? I don't think so.
Well, he said it a little differently.
Not me.
He said, I don't think so.
I don't."
Because he had a speech impediment.
He had a
and he
speech
could not
impediment.
Speak very well.
That's right.
And he
But
said, are you
God
crazy, God?
understood it.
Well, God said, I have a backup for you.
Yes, I do.
Go with your brother Aaron, and he will do the talking, the two
Aaron's
of you
speech
together.
is fine. It's clear.
He
says every word
enunciates.
enunciated very beautifully.
Exactly.
Yes. But Moses still wasn't very keen on this whole idea.
No,
He
but
had
it's-
a great
It's
life.
kind of hard to say no to God.
Well, when you have a bush that's not consumed, it is a little scary. Yes.
So he goes back. He meets up with his brother Aaron. That was kind of the really first time they got to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they go up to Pharaoh and they say, hey, these are unfair working conditions. Your workers are not unionized.
No.
They're being treated very badly. The living conditions are vile
Really
and
bad.
disgusting.
Really bad.
You gotta let them go.
My people go.
And Pharaoh said,
I don't think so. I remember when he laughed like that.
he was not a nice man.
No, it kind of incensed them both.
And so, you know what happened?
I do.
Plague number 1,
Yes, which brings us.
to blood in the Nile.
Oh my God.
That was not good. That was gross.
No, it was really bad.
So then they go back again, and you know what Pharaoh said?
No.
Plague number 2.
Yeah.
Pharaoh was annoyed, but he kept saying no. And then what
Say
happened?
no.
They went back again.
You know, he did say yes a couple times, but then he changed his mind.
Changed his mind, and they had to come back until, you know what the final straw was?
Oh, it was bad. I don't even like thinking
So
about this.
plagues 1 through 9, that hurt the Egyptians,
Yeah.
the people. He didn't really care. But
Right.
the 10th plague, that hurt
That
Pharaoh
hit home.
when his own son died.
Yes.
And he was shocked because Pharaoh was, like, as you said, he thought he was God.
Yeah.
He thought he was untouchable. You know what happens to leaders who are, no, never mind. I'm not gonna go there.
We don't have to get
We
political.
won't go there. And so Pharaoh,
Think amongst yourselves.
so Pharaoh finally relents, and he says, "We get out of
Oh,
here."
wait, but you forgot something.
Oh, the blood?
You did. You forgot this.
Yeah, that's kind of gross.
Yeah, this is kind of gross.
Yeah.
Can I put it down now?
Yeah, please
Thank
do.
you. Yeah, it is kind of
And
gross.
they painted the door sills with blood.
With blood. So don't you think, here we relive this story every year?
you
we-
paint,
we
you paint, you paint your door
But
sill.
isn't it fabulous that that's not part of what we relive? I just think
You know why?
that's brilliant.
I know- no, I know why.
Because we don't have sacrifice.
Because I think all the mothers said, "Do what
Not
you
on
want
my
on
house."
the table, but do not mess that paint job." That is, you've gone too far.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I
That's
know.
what it is, yeah.
And so, finally, after the angel of death passed over the Jewish houses, they ran. And you know how fast they got out of there?
They went so fast that they didn't really even have time to pack. I mean, they brought
You know what though?
bread that they didn't have time to let rise, but they also found a way to bring this.
'Cause
Because
Miriam-
you never know. There might be
Miriam
a
said-
celebration right over there.
You know, and it's a great reminder for us that even in bad times, things can get better.
Yes.
And that brings us
Back to the Haggadah.
back to the Haggadah, to the last of the plagues, as things are getting so bad. And when we together, we cried out to Adonai,
Adonai,
the God of our ancestors, and Adonai heard our voice and
Saw our affliction, our suffering, and our oppression. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob,
and Sarah, Rebekah,
Rebekah,
Rachel, and Leah.
and God saw the Israelites, and God knew.
I will cross the land of Egypt on this night
and smite every firstborn from humankind to beast in the land of Egypt, and I will carry out judgment against all the gods of Egypt. I, Adonai.
And
Adonai freed us from Egypt with an arm outstretched and a mighty hand, with awe-inspiring deeds, signs, and wonders, not the work of angels or emissaries, but the holy blessed one alone in solitary glory. For Adonai it was a night of vigilance to bring them out of the land of Egypt. It is this very night that belongs to Adonai, a time of vigilance for all the people of Israel throughout their generations.
Our tradition teaches us of miracles, such as the signs and wonders of the Passover story that happened in our mythic past. However, our lives are also full of signs and wonders, those gifts that arrive not only during miraculous and extraordinary times, but happen to us every day, if we take the care to notice. And so we raise our glasses of wine, and together, blessed is the one who keeps the
promise made to Israel. Blessed is the one whose promise has endured and sustained us from our ancestors' time to ours. For more than one enemy has risen against us. Indeed, from one generation to the next, enemies arise to put an end to us.
But
the Holy Blessed One saves us from their power.
From one generation to the next, existential threats to the Jewish people seem to appear in every generation. So later during dinner, consider, we're skipping that, because we're going to get in trouble with the soup. Are you guys getting hungry?
They're like,
Yeah.
we're tired.
So,
Just like the Israelites when we got into the
well, no, but they
we're
started
hungry.
complaining because they wanted the fish and the leeks.
I don't think we should wait till they start complaining.
I think that's good. Our sages taught at the very hour that the Egyptians were drowning, the angels wanted to sing before the Holy Blessed One.
God, and God said to them, "My children are drowning in the sea, yet you would sing in my presence?"
Together,
As the heirs of slaves redeemed from Egypt's violence, we rejoice at the sight of oppression overcome. Yet our triumph is diminished by the slaughter of the foe. Therefore, we take 10 drops from the wine within our cups, one for each plague God brought upon Egypt.
Our sages taught violence enters the world through justice delayed, and
L'chaim.
spilled wine, and
Mazel
justice
tov.
denied. To remember the upheaval that follows oppression, we pour 10 drops for the plagues upon Egypt. Rabbi Judah the Prince taught that as the 10 Commandments are a matter of urgency to God, so too is justice. God is urgent about justice, for upon it the world depends. Oops.
We pour 10 drops for the plagues upon Egypt, everyone. Each drop of wine that we spill is a prayer to end the plagues that human beings bring upon one another. These 10 are the plagues that the Holy One brought upon the Egyptians in Egypt. Oy vey. That's how I felt. Dam,
Blood,
Tzvardea,
frogs,
Kinim,
lice,
Arov,
swarming insects,
Oy Dever,
animal disease,
Shechin,
boils,
Baran,
hail,
Arbe,
locusts,
Choshech,
darkness,
Makat Bechorot.
death of the firstborn. How many are the rungs on the ladder of God's goodness? How much we owe to the one who uplifts us. So, Cantor, as horrible as those 10 plagues were, the miracles that were performed for us, the glorious gifts that God has given us is even more. And so usually
My leak's bigger than your leak.
Iraqi Jews take green onions to remind us of the taskmaster's whips, and we whip
I
each
beg your
other.
pardon?
Ooh, that feels a lot different than a green onion. And we take them to slap each other as we sing Dayenu. We're going to sing verses 1, 3, and 4. But also, it smells very fresh.
You know what? I'm giving it away because I saw somebody who really wanted it badly.
It kind of scares me how much he wants that. But okay.
I know. It was good. So, and besides, I'm going to be busy singing. So let's get happy. Ilu hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Ilu natan lanu et Shabbat, natan lanu et Shabbat, dayenu. Dayenu, 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 dayenu. Ilu natan lanu et Torah, natan lanu et Torah, dayenu, 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 dayenu.
Gee, don't you wish wish you were at a Seder where they sang the whole
Gosh,
song.
you guys want to do that, don't you? It's like 20 verses. We could do it. We could do it. We could do it.
So if the people who are serving want to start bringing out the soup, but the people who are at the tables promise not to eat the soup until we say the motzi.
It's a little torturous, but I think they can do it.
But then they'll have food ready when we say the motzi.
That's true.
Okay.
Then they'll be
so
right
if you guys
there.
want to start bringing it up, but remember, we're not allowed to eat anything but the parsley right now. So together, and today, but you can eat as much parsley as you want.
Ooh,
You can even have some fresh leeks if you want. Together.
So much fun being a
So
Jew.
today,
Wherever slavery remains, Jews taste its bitterness. And wherever oppression persists, our history impels us to act.
As in every age and generation, the task is ours to see ourselves as if we had come out of Egypt. As it is said, make clear to your child on that day,
this is because of what Adonai did for me when I myself went forth from Egypt. Still we remember, it was we who were slaves, we who were strangers, and therefore we recall these words as well.
You shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the stranger's innermost feelings.
Having been strangers yourself in the land of Egypt.
And when strangers dwell with you in your land, you shall not wrong them. The stranger who dwells with you shall be like a citizen among you, and you shall love that person as yourself.
For you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Rejoice before your God eternal. Rejoice with your children and with those who serve you, with the Levite and the stranger in your communities, with the orphan and the widow in your midst.
And remember, you were a slave in Egypt.
You shall not make crooked path of justice for the stranger or the orphan.
And remember, you were a slave in Egypt.
I see a theme.
There is a theme.
Not only did the Holy One redeem our fathers and mothers of old, indeed, God redeemed us with them. As it is said, God brought us out of there to gather us in and give us the land promised on oath to our ancestors. Therefore, we raise our glasses again. Therefore, this is our sacred task, to thank, praise, revere, and exalt, beautify, bless, acclaim, and adore the one who did wondrous things for our mothers and fathers of old and for us. Together, God brought us forth from slavery to freedom, from sorrow to joy, from mourning to celebration, from darkness to radiance, from the yoke of tyranny to the dawn of redemption. So let us bring forth a song that is new and sing Hallelujah! Not that one. That one funny.
Oh, this is a perfect time for you to need a little water. The rabbi needed to pause for a moment for a little water.
For Kos Miriam. The wine with which we fill Elisha's cup anticipates the bliss of a future messianic age. The water we place in Miriam's cup celebrates life itself, the miracle of joy in the present and the basic fact of Jewish survival. A people needs both, but water comes before wine. Without water, there can be no wine, and without Miriam, we would have no messianic dream because we would have had no future.
Amen.
And so that brings us to our next cup of wine. Fill her up if you need to. And with the second cup, we recall the second promise of redemption.
As it is said, I will save you from their forced labor.
Together,
Source of blessings, sovereign God of eternity, you have redeemed us and our ancestors from Egypt and brought us to this night on which we taste matzah and maror.
so too
Bring us in peace to many other festive seasons, that we may serve you in joy, take delight in the rebuilding of Jerusalem, recall the ceremonies of old, and sing you a new song. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael, With praise and thanks, we bless you for our redemption and for saving our lives. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim u'l'sholom.
And so this brings us out of the Magid into the next step, to Rakatsa, where we wash our hands before the meal. The first washing has no blessing. The second one does. We have 3 different stations, one there, one here. Does anyone see the third? And one in the back corner over there. So for all who'd like to bless the blessing is not over the washing, but of the elevating of our hands, because just as the priests would, the Kohanim, would prepare and wash their hands before they did the sacred service of the sacrifice, we wash and prepare our hands for the sacred service of eating. Don't you love that eating is a sacred thing in Judaism? It's one of my favorites. And so the blessing will be kept on the screen for all those who would like to go wash their hands. Feel free to go to one of the stations. And this prepares us to be able to start saying blessings for the food we'll eat. Line at this washer if anybody wants to use this one. So this brings us to the motzi over the matzah.
You know, and when you say that, it's kind of fun. We get to do the motzi matzah.
Exactly. The Mishnah, but first we have a little more learning to do. The Mishnah records a saying of Rabban Gamliel: one who has not discussed the meaning of these three things has not fulfilled the purpose of the Seder: Pesach, Matzah, and Maror. So at each of your tables, you should have a Seder plate. Does everyone have a Seder plate at their tables? So you need to designate your Vanna White, because that person is going to have to do a little show and tell. Okay, does everyone have a Vanna White at your table? Vanna is going to read with me. Or Vanna will, I'll tell you when to read. The Pesach offering is what our ancestors ate when the temple stood. What is its meaning? Vanna's?
It reminds us that the Holy One passed over, Pasach, the homes of our ancestors in Egypt. As it is written, you shall say, it is a Pesach offering for Adonai, who passed over the homes of the Israelites in Egypt when God struck the Egyptians but spared our houses.
Together, our
ancestors in Egypt gathered with family, friends, and neighbors to eat the Pesach offering. And we still come together at the Passover table to share this feast, renewing our bonds of love and friendship. In gratitude to God, guardian of our homes, we join tonight with the whole household of Israel.
This matzah that okay, now put down the Seder plate, pick up the matzah. This matzah that we eat, what is its meaning?
It reminds us that the dough prepared by our ancestors had no time to rise before the Holy One redeemed them, as it is written. Oy.
I'm trying to move those away.
They baked unleavened cakes with the dough, for they were driven out of Egypt and could not delay, nor did they prepare any provisions for themselves. Tonight we link ourselves to all those driven from their homes by poverty or war, as we fulfill the mitzvah. For 7 days you shall eat matzah, the bread of affliction. So you will remember the day you left Egypt, all the days of your life.
And so now we break the uppermost of the three matzot, which is in here someplace. There we go. Source of blessing. Baruch atah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivonu al achilat matzah b'tevon.
And while our mouth...
Oh, wait, go back. I got to see that guy. Boy, he looks unhappy.
Because he's hungry.
Wait, is he unhappy because the Seder went too long or because he has to eat maror?
He's hungry because he's been waiting this long.
Like, I think most people are going to agree it's because they're hungry.
Oh, yeah.
No, we'll skip this.
Yeah. So I need your Vannas one more time. This bitter herb that we eat, what is its meaning?
It reminds us that the Egyptians embittered the lives of our ancestors in Egypt, as it is written. They made their lives bitter with harsh labor, with mortar and bricks and toil in the fields, all the labor they ruthlessly forced on them. Together, tonight we taste again the bitterness of slavery. We feel the sting of our ancestors' tears and those of all who have been enslaved in our own country and around the world. As it is written, I am a Jew because wherever suffering weeps, the Jew weeps. As the children of slaves, we must stand with all who are afflicted and work to liberate those in captivity. As it is written, freedom is indivisible, and when one person is enslaved, all are not free.
And so now we get to put a little bit of maror on our matzah. So everybody put some of the maror on your matzah. And together,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror b'teavon.
you know, after the parsley, that really
like
is quite snazzy.
You don't like it?
But you know what tastes good with maror? A little bit of
I'll say it. A little bit of haroset helps the maror
it helps
gourds
the
go down.
bitterness go down. And so we make a Hillel sandwich by making a little haroset and a little horseradish and 2 pieces of matzah. As a sacred remembrance and a bond with the past, we keep the custom of Hillel from those days when the temple existed.
I do too.
B'teavon.
B'teavon.
And this is everybody's favorite part of the Seder. The meal is served. So if you have soup in front of you, enjoy. Is somebody from the confirmation class, do you guys want to tell us when we go to the buffet? When you're done with the soup, take your plate, and dinner will be served after that. So every year, the women of B'nai Israel put on this wonderful congregational Seder for us. And every year, our confirmation students and their families step up, and they serve the congregation by volunteering to literally serve the food, to set up, and to help Wibby with all these wonderful things. And one of the ways that Wibby says thank you to them, actually, is anyone here? Where's Sharon? Actually, I'm not sure if it's happening. But Wibby says thank you to the kids by making a donation to their class trip. So for those of you who haven't been at B'nai Israel for long, one of the wonderful things is that at the end of 10th grade, we send our confirmation students to Israel for a summer of experiential, immersive learning. And because these trips are very expensive, the children and their families actually work all year long to raise money so that every child who wants to go can go. And one of the ways, Josh, what are one of the things that your class is doing this year to raise money? I know that we bought alcohol before we came in, but what else?
So what we're doing in the foyer is we are doing raffle tickets. We are selling them one for $25 and five for $100. We're selling them one for $25 and five for $100. We have a collection of prizes left: $500 Costco gift card, $250 Target gift card, many other gift cards to certain restaurants and spas. We're also selling wine out there. It's going to go to support our Nifty trip, just as Rabbi was saying, to help everyone go to Israel. Oh, yeah. What? We're selling them in the foyer, and we take cash, check, and Venmo. Thank you.
So let's give a big a round of applause to all these hardworking students. And this is just about half of the confirmation class. Some of them are away this week. It's a wonderful group of kids. Now, are any of the children still eating? Okay, so keep eating, because let's see, it is 7:35, and at 7:40 exactly, according to that clock, you can start searching for the afikomen. But not before. Oh, and some of the rules. The afikomen is not in the sanctuary. The afikomen is not in either bathroom, because, ew, the afikomen is dessert. The afikomen is not on the freeway, and it is someplace within the gated realm of the temple. Should I be more specific?
Yeah, it's either in here.
It is someplace in the parameters of this larger building. It is not outside any of the doors or gates of this part of the temple.
Could it be in the courtyard? No, could it be in the foyer?
Yes.
Could it be in this hall?
Yes.
Could it be in the courtyard?
Yes.
Could it be in here?
Yes.
Thank you. Could it be in the kitchen?
No, it is not in the kitchen.
Okay.
The afikomen is not, you cannot go through, it's not up on the stage. me know if it's a winner if this piece matches the piece in here. Uh-oh. Somebody sat on the afikoman. Let's see. Where was it? Wait.
I found it in between the shelf and a book.
In which room? In the foyer. Well done. We thought we would throw you guys off by saying the courtyard.
Wait a second.
No, there's pieces that are broken off. But, oh, there it is. The top part fits. And this was the right wrapper. So, do you want to see what your prize is? Well, first of all the kids who searched, come on up, because you guys could pick a toy out of here. However, do you want to tell everybody your name and how old you are and what grade you're in?
My name is Evelyn. I'm in 2nd grade and I'm 8 years old.
And are you the wisest child for being able to figure out where the afikoman was? Yeah, she goes, uh-huh. So we have for you, first of all, some Passover stickers. And secondly, let's see, dun-dun-dun-dun, a $10 gift certificate to be used at the Jonas Goldman Judaica gift shop. So just so you know, not only do they sell fabulous jewelry, Judaica, and other items, they also sell candy. So anyone who searched, pick out a toy. Here, you can put it right there, babe. There's some of these in there. So if you blow this up and you tie this part, it's a punch ball, which is a lot of fun, especially... So, Cantor Steinberg.
Yes, Rabbi Alfie.
So, first of all, I hope you all have enjoyed your dinner. I have a slow leak. No, okay, so anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed your dinner. Dessert is coming around, and in a moment, we'll continue with the conclusion of the Seder, and don't get scared because the post-dinner Seder rituals is much, much, much shorter than the pre-dinner Seder.
We only have to tell the story of going from the Promised Land to New York.
Exactly. Happens in a blink of an
Very
eye.
quickly. TWA and Pan Am.
However, Cantor and I want to acknowledge somebody from whom this would not have been possible for us to come together tonight. a person who has been cooking for our congregation for 25 years.
Yes. You know who we're talking about.
And sadly, we were told that this may be the last meal she officially prepares for our congregation. And so we want to call out Arla Hesterman.
Yay!
Arla? Oh, you're over there. I'm looking at the kitchen. You were coming from the wrong side. So Arla, come on up. So come over here.
You can't come up here without jewelry, of course.
So Arla, thank you for feeding us and nourishing us, enabling our congregation to come together and break bread together on Shabbat and at Passover, because it's around a table where we're really able to become a community. It's through being able to share our stories with each other and simply spend a little time getting to know each other. And so the cantor and I would like to bless you as you make this transition in your life, in your professional life. We look forward to having you for decades to come as a congregant, because even as a congregant outside the kitchen, you make our community sweeter and delicious.
Yavarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May the Holy One bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May the Holy One always turn towards you with kindness and with compassion.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom.
May the Holy One bless you with a long and healthy life. May you always have a table to sit around to share with family and friends, a table where your soul is nourished as much as your body, and may your life be a life filled with shalom. And let us say,
Amen.
And Todah Rabbah.
Todah Rabbah.
I just want to let all of you know that it's.
Wait, is it on? Yeah.
It's been a blessing for me to be able to share all of the life cycle events for all these years with everybody. And I know COVID was hard for everyone, but me especially, because, I got to be here for the births and the bar and bat mitzvahs and and the deaths and it's been something that's given me probably more joy than I've given you. It's been great to be part of this community in that way, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm just stepping out of the kitchen for a while, and who knows? But I know I'm not going to be doing big things like this. COVID. I wasn't working for 2 years, and it's a different world, and I'm almost 75, so it's time already.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Anyway, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Arla. And so now that we have your attention, and the afikomen has been found, and anyone who would like a taste of the oh-so-delicious afikomen, feel free to come up and take a tiny bit. Let's see. Dessert.
Let me have some dessert.
It is so dry and pasty. Here we go. Would you like any? Would you like some of the afikomen?
That's the best afikoman I've
You get to
had
take this back
in a
to
year.
your whole table and share it with everybody at the table. Here, share it with the people at your table. As we recall the story of our people, our redemption from slavery in Egypt, we also remember the story of our own families, their journeys and experiences that have shaped us, the people and places and the faces that once sat across from us, shared meals with us, shared the story with us. It's in these moments of joyous holiday meals and family celebrations that we remember them. Hold on. So as the meal began with matzah, it ends with matzah. Hold on. Matzah, which was the lechem oni, the poor bread, the bread of affliction at the beginning of the evening, is now transformed into the bread of redemption. Wow. I don't think we could eat that many cookies, but thank you. Transformed into the bread of redemption, indeed symbolic of the Pesach itself. Now you could continue to eat dessert as you would like even after we do the barech, the final, the blessing for the meal, after the meal. Cantor? Wait, hold on. Getting past Shabbat. There we go.
Getting past Shabbat. Yeah, careful. I always worry about the flame. Okay, I'm going to do it from here so I see if I can read it. Chaverai nevarech.
Together,
Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach me'ata ve'ad olam. Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach me'ata ve'ad olam. Birshut meranan v'rabanan v'rabotai nevarech shechanu mishalom. Baruch shechanu mishalom. Uvtuvo chayinu. Baruch shechanu.
Was there's more than 10 of us.
Baruch Eloheinu shachanu mishalom uvtuvo chayinu. Baruch u'baruch shemo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Chazan et ha'olam kulo v'tuvo b'chen b'chesed u'vrachamim.
Rachamim.
Uvtuvrachamim.
Rachamim.
Uvtu unoten lechem lechol basar ki le'olam chasto. Uvtuvo hakadol tamid lo chasar lanu ve'al yachsar lanu mazon le'olam va'ed bavur shemo hagadol ki hu elzanu farnes la'akol umektiv la'akol umechin mazon lecho briotav asher bara. I can't do this next to the rabbi. Adonai chazan et hakol. Nodeh lecha Adonai Eloheinu shehinchaltanu leavotenu eretz chemda tova uvracha ve'al shotzet. I don't want to do this one. You know what? I'm going to get mine.
Do this one.
ועל הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ככתוב ואכלת ושבעת וברכת את אדוני אלוהיך על הארץ הטובה אשר נתן לך. ברוך אתה אדוני על הארץ ועל המזון. Nope, skip. I usually have a different one. No.
You want to do this? Yeah, okay.
You know what?
So,
Hold that thought.
I
know. Hang on.
Do you want me to sing?
No. Oh, did I say that? Yes. Did I say that out loud?
You did.
Okay, we have different texts in front of us. Pray amongst yourselves.
Do you got it?
Go to Uvene. ובני ירושלים, עיר הקודש במהרה בימינו, ברוך אתה אדוני, בונה ורחמיו ירושלים. אמן. הרחמן הוא ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. הרחמן הוא יתברך בשמיים ובארץ.
אמן.
הרחמן הוא ישלח ברכה מרובה בבית הזה ועל שולחן זה שאכלנו עליו. הרחמן הוא ישלח לנו את אליהו הנביא. הרחמן הוא ישלח לנו את אליהו הנביא זכור לטוב ויבשר לנו ויבשר לנו בשורות טובות מישועות ונחמות. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. And now you can say thank you that we didn't do the rabbi's version.
Yeah, but they got to have the joy of seeing us skip pages. For how many
Well,
people
there you have it,
is that
yes.
the best part of a Passover Seder, when you see that you've just skipped like 10 pages?
Is that the essence of being a Jew, Rabbi, that we're happy at High Holy Days, we're happy at Seder, when we skip pages? That's really the essence of being a Jew.
I once put together a Haggadah where I deliberately put in
Extra
stuff that I would
pages.
skip so that people thought that they were like getting something
Right, well, we
extra.
do that on High Holy Days. Truly, a little secret. When we're preparing for High Holy Days, Rabbi will turn to me and she will say, they're gonna love us right now. We're gonna skip these pages. Yeah, it's true.
As I like to say, never get between a Jew and their food. It's always good to make it shorter. So now we lift our third cup, Kos Tehillah, and together we take up our cups of wine to recall the third divine promise. Together, with an arm outstretched, I will redeem you. Oh, sorry.
Unless you want to go for
No,
it.
go for it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim u'l'shalom. And you have to love that after we say a blessing for our wonderful meal, we still drink. L'chaim.
So I want to clear up a little something about Elijah. American Jews think of Elijah as that guy who does not show up at our Seder table. However, when we lived, before we moved to the United States, and our families tended to live in small communities throughout the world, in small communities, people tended to know who were the people that were unhoused and who were the people who were hungry. And it was the community's responsibility to take care of those people. Our tradition teaches us that Elijah goes around the world in disguise. He goes dressed as a person who is homeless and hungry. And so at the beginning of the Seder, where we say, all who are hungry, come and eat, that wasn't just words, that was a serious invitation, where we would invite into our homes people who were strangers to the community. Maybe they were visiting from out of town, or people who were homeless, or people who could not afford to put together the Seder themselves. Because how do we know that that person isn't actually Elijah? And so instead of an empty chair and a glass of wine at our table, they were the wine was drunk, and the food was eaten, and the chair was filled by a person who truly needed it. I'm going to go in a little aside. So some of you, and Sacramento, once upon a time, was that type of small town. And there's if you've ever gone into the memorial room, you'll see that there is a face of a wonderful man whose name was Cy Opper. And Cy Opper's family, along with the other Jews of the Sacramento Jewish community back in the 20s and 30s and 40s, whenever there was a Jew visiting town, they would quickly find them and invite them over for a meal, help them get a job, help them find a place to live. And Cy would tell this fabulous story about how during the Depression, they would always have a lot of people around their Seder table. And there had been some guy at their Seder table, and after dinner, the guy got up and left. And somebody said to Cy, who was it you brought to the Seder table? And Cy goes, I have no idea who that guy is. I thought you brought that guy to the Seder table. So for all we knew, no, Elijah came and hung out sometimes during the Depression here in Sacramento. So it's a reminder to us when we have that empty seat, perhaps because we live in a society that is too big now, that we feel unsafe or uncomfortable inviting in a stranger. That doesn't mean that we can't take the cost of that meal, or maybe a little bit more, and go to the food bank and make a donation and ensure that somebody had a full meal that night that perhaps would not have eaten otherwise. And so at our table, I need a glass. Okay, here we go. We have Elijah's cup. And so let's read together. Elijah's cup, what is its meaning?
Known as a miracle worker, Elijah is legendary for acts of kindness and healing, and for raising up the poor and the weak. At the end of his days on earth, his disciple Elisha had a vision of Elijah carrying aloft a fiery chariot. Many are the folk tales of Elijah's return to earth to befriend and serve the sick, the helpless, and the suffering. Those tales, in which he often appears as a beggar or a sage, offer a glimpsed alternative to the rampant poverty and persecution that afflicted many Jewish communities. The vast storehouse of Elijah legends point to the Messianic age, a future redemption, when the most difficult conflicts will be resolved. And indeed, Elijah is known as the forerunner of the Messiah, a messenger from God who inspires hope where there is grief and teaches humble faith where there is doubt and uncertainty.
And so while the door is open, I need a kid. You get to go to the doors out there. Oh, wait. Here, give me your mic. Come over here. Take the microphone, and you're going to go to those doors, and then you're going to read what's on the screen up there. But you have to go by the door and shout it out. You can see that part, right?
May the merciful one send us Elijah the prophet, a messenger of hope, a sign of salvation, a voice of comfort. We remember him for his goodness.
So come on back. Well done. Hopefully Elijah heard us. And so let us take the lesson of Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, into our hearts. Thank you. And when we look at those who are living underneath our freeways, at our freeway off-ramps, along the river, any place where they can find a little bit of safety to lay down and rest their heads at night, let's remember that person that we're looking at, they may be Elijah the prophet. And so let Elijah's cup remain full, a symbol before our eyes, until we have done our part of the holy work, bringing forth goodness and righteousness with our hands and minds and hearts.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimera beyamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu hagiladi.
We can open doors as a gesture of hospitality. We can open doors as a ritual act, as we do for Elijah at Passover. Or we can truly open doors to the oppressed so that their rights are attained, and to the hungry and homeless so that the structures that perpetuate economic inequity are rebuilt on the foundation of justice. And so this brings us to the portion of the service known as Hallel, where we sing songs of praises. Cantor, do you happen to know any songs that have the word hallelujah in it?
You know, Rabbi, I do. Oh, are you asking me to sing one of them?
Would you?
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol anshamat hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol anshamat hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Well done, Cantor. Well done.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And so this brings us to the Nirtzah, to the conclusion of the Seder. And we cannot conclude the Seder without the fourth cup.
A little more wine.
The cup of, keep in mind, people used to do this till midnight, so I think they would just pass out after the fourth cup.
Yes.
The fourth cup is the cup of acceptance. Redemption is not yet complete. And so, recalling words that have shaped us as a people, we raise the fourth cup. And with this cup, we accept the tasks of justice and tikkun that still await us. And we honor the purpose of the Jewish people. Together, to affirm
our covenant with God who freed us from slavery, and to open doorways of hope to all.
You were doing that?
Okay, and I will take for my own to be a people. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. One more time. Borei peri agafen. Amen. L'chaim u'l'shalom.
The Seder for Pesach now comes to an end. Its customs enjoyed, all the rites fulfilled, each in its
proper order, each in its sacred way.
Having been worthy to honor this tradition, may we be worthy of bringing its message to life. Words from the heart for 2,000 years.
Next year in Jerusalem.
Embracing our history, affirming our hope.
Next year in Jerusalem.
A Jewish prayer, a prayer for all humanity.
Next year in Jerusalem. L'shana haba'ah b'Yerushalayim. Next year in Jerusalem.
And so that concludes the formal part of the Seder, but for some of us, the singing is, I'm trying to get there. The singing is the best part. Where is it?
There's a lot of, what number do you know?
There's a lot of numbers out there.
It goes up to a lot.
It goes up to pi.
It just keeps going.
Hold on. Oh!
There we go. One little goat.
But you know what? We need some help.
We need some help.
So we have a tradition here at our congregational Seders.
Yep.
That we need people to play the parts of all of the different, do you have a full list?
Yeah, I'll say it out. You get the...
Okay, so who wants to be two zuzim? Actually, do we have two little...
No, we need a chad gadya.
No,
oh, you want the...
together.
Okay.
Can the two of you play the role of two little coins?
Cha-ching.
So, cha-ching, clink,
And you
clink.
say cha-ching.
So you two come right over here. Kendra, you're going to...
Yep.
Okay, so you guys are going to be the two coins, the two zuzim. I need a cat. Who feels that they are a cat? Come on up, you're the cat. I need a dog.
Oh, come on, there's got to be some good dogs.
No dog people here?
You want to be a dog?
Woof.
Sarah, be a dog.
Woof.
Come on, woof, woof. Come on, come on.
Be a dog.
Yes, this is what happens when you become an adult in this community. You get called up to be a dog.
We need a stick. Sylvia, did you just volunteer to be the stick? Come on up, Sylvia. I thought I saw you volunteer.
And quite a stick.
Okay, we need fire. Who's feeling hot tonight? Anyone?
Wow, everybody really had 4 glasses of wine. And
Wait,
is
did you
fired.
say that you were feeling hot tonight? Come on up. You're going to be the fire. Jay. Yeah. Unless there's another Jay Roth here. I'm looking at you, babe.
Truly, it's going to be fun. You're going to have a great time.
We need water.
Water.
Who's sizzling?
Water.
We need some water.
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 Mime.
Water.
Come on.
Water.
Wow.
Come on up. We got water.
I don't think we've ever had this much trouble getting people to come up.
Do we have an ox? Wait, we need an ox. Cantor, just pick someone to be the ox.
Do we have an ox? Do I hear? Come on,
Gary,
you get to be the ox.
Come on up.
You know what that means.
We need a butcher.
We need a butcher. Come on up. You get to be the butcher.
Gary, would you like to be the angel of death? No.
It's
a
an
lot of
awesome
power.
responsibility.
Who would like to be the angel of death?
You would like to be the angel of death. Come on. I've never thought of you as the angel of death.
Yeah, because the angel of death in Judaism is actually not scary. They're supposed to be pleasant.
Now that we do this, come on, you get to be the angel of death.
We need a God. Who wants to be the blessed one is God. Do you want to be God? Do I have a God anywhere?
Greg Hubbs, come on, you get to be God. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
So the way this works, as we say the item that you are, or the animal that you are, you have to make a sound. So Cantor, I'm going to need you.
You get to be right at the end there. Go on, God. I've never gotten to tell God what to do before. God, get to the end of the line.
Oops. Hold on. I started getting into the counting again. Hold on. Oh my gosh, so many numbers. Oh my gosh. Hold on. I got too enthusiastic here. There it was. Okay, Cantor.
We don't quite sing it that way, but okay.
It's what we got. Okay, you could sing it your way, but when you say the animal.
That's right.
Okay, if we're going.
Start here.
Hold on, if you're singing it, then I'll do the microphone.
You do the microphone.
Okay.
So everybody, think of who you are and think of the sound you want to make to convey that character.
And the faster we go, the more fun it is.
That's right. Everybody else gets to sing. Ready? Chad Gad Ya, my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, then came the cat that ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, then came the dog.
Woof.
And bit the cat that ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, then came the stick.
Whack.
And beat the dog
Woof.
that bit the cat that ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, then came the fire.
Crackle.
And burned the stick.
Whack.
That beat the dog.
Woof.
That bit the cat. That ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gad Ya, then came the water.
Splash.
And quenched the fire.
Crackle.
That burned the stick.
Whack.
That beat the dog.
Woof.
That bit the cat. that ain't the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad gadya. Then came the ox.
Charge.
And drank the water.
Splash.
That quenched the fire.
Crackle.
That burned the stick.
Whack.
That beat the dog.
Woof.
That bit the cat. That ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim.
Bing.
Chad gadya. Then came the butcher
Slash.
and slew the ox
Charge.
that drank the water,
Slash.
that quenched the fire,
Crackle.
that burned the stick,
Whack.
that beat the dog,
Woof.
that bit the cat, that ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim.
Bing.
Chad gadya. Then came the angel of death. I'll never see you again the same way. And killed the butcher
Slash.
that slew the ox,
Charge.
that drank the water,
Splash.
that quenched the fire,
Crackle.
that burned the stick,
Whack.
that beat the dog,
Woof.
that bit the cat, that ain't the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim.
Bing.
Chad gadya. Then came the Holy One, blessed be God.
Hallelujah.
And destroyed the angel of death. That killed the butcher,
Slash.
that slew the ox,
Charge.
that drank the water,
Splash.
that quenched the fire, that burned the stick,
Whack.
that beat the dog,
Woof.
that bit the cat, that ate the kid my father bought for 2 zuzim.
Bing.
Chad gadya.
Let's give them a big round of applause.
Yes, thank you all. Excellent.
Oops, that's the end of my songs. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the whole kitchen crew and everyone who did all the work to prepare everything and to clean everything up. Thank you to all of you. What a wonderful opportunity to come together again. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach, so good to see you all.
And don't forget to eat a lot of fruit this week.
Yeah, enjoy your matzah.